Hi, my name is Jim Sargent. I own and operate Splitrock Reptiles. I'm out of Cypress, Texas. Today what we're going to be doing is packing up a black-headed python, getting it ready to ship to a potential customer. This is how I do it anyway. This black-headed python right here is it's a 66% heady xanthic. It's probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 feet long, maybe 4 feet long. So I'm going to use a fairly good sized box for it. And I'm just going to show you how I do it. So I'm going to put him back here for a second. First thing I do is I find a suitable bag that I usually ship in new bags, brand new. So I do that. I always get some Bounty paper towels, a lot of them, and I stick them in the bottom of the bag just in case there's an accident along the way. It absorbs all that liquid or any kind of material that comes out. So I stick that in the very bottom of the bag like that. The next thing I do is I'll put the snake in the bag and we'll just go ahead and put it in fairly carefully. Then what I do is I kind of snug it down on the neck, right like that, and I'll twist it around and knot it up. I don't usually tie the bags with a string, I just do a knot. But I'm kind of a belt and suspenders guy, so I do a couple different things. So once I have that knotted down pretty good, the next thing I do is I take a zip tie, and I take the zip tie and I put it in here just for a little extra security, and I zip it up. So that way they got to go through the zip tie and the knot. The next thing I do is I send this, my business card, and on the back it says who it is, what the animal is, male, female, and the number. And I go ahead and I tie that right here, below the knot. And I just wrap that around a couple times. Then what I'll do is I'll take that down and I'll bend it so there's no sharp edges or anything like that. So that's our package that we put in here. So the next thing we do is get our box. And I use a lot of paper to cushion it. Sometimes I use more or less, but I place the animal in the box, just like that. Usually I have an envelope too with a person's receipt or transfer paperwork. We put this in, pretty nice. I don't slam it down in there. I just try to leave a lot of air, a lot of cushioning, but I also like to have some support. I'd say that's pretty good. The next thing I do, depending on the weather, is I'll put a heat pack or a cool pack in there. Right now it's April, let's say I'm shipping somewhere in the Northeast, it's a lot cooler. I'll go ahead and take this heat pack, and before I even take it out, I'll shake it up real good to make sure that chemicals are good and activated. And when I feel that heat coming out in my hand pretty good, then I'll go ahead and I'll tape it or stick it right in the center of the top of the box like that. What I try to make sure of is when I put this back on there, I'm going to make sure that this heat pack isn't on top of the snake. I don't like that, so I don't do it that way. But anyway, that's what we're going to do there. Okay, the next thing we do is we're going to go ahead and seal this box up pretty good, like that, and I'm going to, tape it. And the final thing I do before I do that is I take this screwdriver or a Phillips head screwdriver, and at each end of this box, I'll stick a hole all the way through here and one hole all the way through there. The other side, same thing. I'll put a hole through here and a hole through there. Before I usually put these holes in and make sure I go through this thickness so there's a good hole between the cardboard and this, and I'm not poking the snake with the screwdriver. That's a dangerous thing. And that's pretty much all I do right there, seal it up. And I always make sure that I write on here that this is a reptile. And I say black-headed python, Aspidates melanocephalus, #1. There's only one animal in there, and that's good for the Lasiac stuff. What I like to do is I like to send this to the customer. Usually I always send it from hub to hub, so they have to pick it up at a hub. So it spends the very smallest amount of time on the truck. I usually do not ship to people's houses or apartments or anything like that, but I usually ship to the nearest FedEx hub. And basically what I do is I weigh the box with the snake in it, with all the materials in it. I go to Redline website, I figure out how much it's gonna cost, and then that's the basic estimate I use for people when I ship. I have never had a DOA, I've never had any problems, so everybody seems to be doing a pretty good job on the shipping side of the industry, and I really appreciate that, and so do my snakes.
All live packages must meet the Redline shipping standards, which include temperature guidelines and heat pack use guidelines. Misuse of heat packs is the #1 cause of DOAs in live shipping. Find all the guidelines and Redline shipping standards on our site, and don't hesitate to contact us with any questions.